Commission on Utilities. It's a joint work session for both Guam Power Authority and Guam Water Works Authority. For the record, those present are myself, Commissioner Imcalco, Commissioner Sanchez, Commissioner Santos, and Commissioner Martinez. And so therefore, we'll start with GWA. Miguel, the floor is yours.
We only have 2 issues for decision for this upcoming meeting. The first is Resolution 01 FY 2024, and this concerns some additional funding that is needed to complete the pipe replacement work on Taui Road and Cañada Toto Loop. This project should be completed. We were making the final disconnections of the old lines, and it was discovered that there were two separate areas, service laterals that we had no as-bills for, so they weren't documented, and so when we tried to make those final disconnections, those customers lost water. So we're at the end of the project. We don't have any additional funding, but it will cost some additional money to get those lines reconnected to the new service mains that were installed. And so the cost of that additional work is about $61,000. The current authorized funding is $2.98 million, so we're seeking an increase in the authorized amount to $3.045 million. And as I mentioned, just $61,000. We anticipate that we could get this done by the end of the year, and we will use an existing bond funding source for additional. Pretty straightforward.
Okay. You know, that's one of the problems we had. I mean, remember back in Santa Rita, where we put in a new line, but they didn't disconnect. We were running both lines at the same time and still leaking. So, you know, I mean, we're getting better at the job. Any questions? Nope. Okay. Next one.
The only other agenda that I'll ask the CFO to go through the other resolution.
Good morning. As you might recall, GWA submitted the true-up to the PUC back on June 1st. And in an abundance of caution, we asked the CCU to approve an interim budget in case the PUC wasn't able to act in time. And that was approved in August under Resolution 43 FY 2023. Subsequent to that, the PUC met on September 26 to address the true-up. As you might recall, the ALJ recommended a 16.1% increase as opposed to the 27.5 that we requested. 16.7%, right? I'm sorry, 16.1 was recommended by the ALJ, and then the on the floor of the PUC, the commissioners increased the amount, reversed the reduction of the salaries, and so the approved rate was 16.1. I'm sorry, 16.7%. So before you today, you have Resolution 02 FY 2024. Which is a budget based on the 16.7% increase. If you take a look at Exhibit A, it provides a summary of the projected total operating revenues based on the 16.7% increase, which includes lifeline rate increase also. There's between the FY23 and the FY24, there's about a $3.3 million increase. Basically, the approval by the PUC reduced our power request. There was about a $28,000 decrease in salaries, but the big chunk of the reduction had to do with replenishment of the reserves. So I'm happy to answer any questions related to this resolution.
Any questions?
So we're adopting the budget that basically.
Right.
Okay. We're still.
Yes. They seem to be amenable to increasing our debt service coverage as well as replenishing the reserves, but they weren't ready to do it.
So
with the true-up.
When do we petition that, later this year?
It'll be included in our next 5-year rate plan,
okay.
which we are required to submit April.
By April 1st. We've already started the budget process. We're required to do, I believe the ratepayers Bill of Rights requires us to do our first notice 3 months before the
1st of April.
submission.
Next year.
Right, so
Is our
early
goal-
next year.
Is our goal still to try to maintain at least the 135? I mean, we've been fairly consistent in.
I think we're gonna try to work back up to the 1.5, 1.4.
And then by doing that, we replenish, we use some of that to
Right.
replenish the reserve.
Yes.
And just one quick favor, I mean, the rating agency presentations were good and
Yes.
well received.
Yes.
And, I mean, we're trying to bump it, right?
We're trying.
Remove any negative.
We're trying to remove the negative outlook and provide them the information that they would need in advance of any potential refunding once we get into the next year, next calendar year,
And their basis for the negative, I mean,
Was-
when I
Was
look at our
after the
numbers,
typhoon,
post-typhoon.
yeah. I think there was a,
have much of an impact.
No, but at the time that they interviewed us, it was within a week or so of the storm hitting us.
and it was a collective interview with GPA and the airport, and so,
They were touching base with everybody.
Yes.
All right, and then can we just get a copy of the presentation to the rating agency?
Sure.
Just to distribute to the board? When you
Sure.
can. All right, thanks, Mr. Chair, that's it for me.
Did you want to say something? No. Okay, no, I'd like to add something to that. Also, there was news reporting in the mainland from one of the news outlets.
Fox.
And, huh?
Fox News.
Yeah, that gave, the island's wiped out, and they showed pictures. We don't know where those pictures came from. And so they were going on based on that. Then they found out, no, the damage is not.
Yeah, so
What
last
they
week you
thought.
were basically updating them on, hey, this is
Right.
the reality, this is really what's going on, right? And
Yeah.
I look at the
And-
projections and we're.
And we also updated them on where we are with all the things that are going on with EPA and everything. So,
Right. And then we have to approach the legislature. In your next 5-year plan, you're thinking of some additional financing and the new consent decree. And we'll start that process with the legislature next year as part of your 5-year plan, right?
We've already started discussions about additional bond authorization, the tax exempt commercial paper program, they're all packaged in the same draft legislation. What may change is the amount that we had requested in terms of authorization. We would bump that number up to reflect what we estimate the consent decree would cost.
And what's your current guesstimate?
Uh,
Not holding it to you today, but just as you're banging up.
On the order of 400 million.
More like 4. The first number was more like 250, right? But cost of construction, I imagine, is just killing.
That's the low end of the range, and we don't want to go in low on the authorization.
Well, it's lower than the 650 from 20 years ago. So each list you seem to be chipping away at, and the number, what remains to be done gets smaller. But I think the chairman and I have always talked about over a 30-year period, 1.5 billion is not going to surprise anybody in terms of what we're going to put into the ground. And great job. The first billion, a third of it was US EPA was very generous with us. You guys did a great job of getting grants. And it's another way to do it. So good job. Thank you. You guys want to run
we'll
site plan?
continue to all do a good job.
You guys want to run site plan?
Anyway, anything else on the budget? No? No other questions? Okay. That's it for you?
That's
You
it for
wanna
the
give
issues.
us
Do you want to run down on the management report?
Yeah, sure. Let's do a quick
Sure.
management.
I'll
Let's
make
go
it
for
quick.
Plus it's a combo meeting next week.
So, starting on our operations update for water production, for the month of September, we averaged 37.2 million gallons a day, 34 million gallons from wells, a little less than half from Santa Rita Springs, 1.7 from Ugam, and about 1 MGD from Tumon Maui. We had 96 wells operating, 12 grounded motors, and so these ones we're working hard to replace. We are eating up our current inventory, so we will be seeking PUC approval next month to go out with a new IDIQ contract for deep well submersible pumps and motors. The next slide on Tumon Maui shows a production hovering just about at 1 million gallons a day for most of the month, increasing slightly at the end of the month. On the water distribution side,
Quick,
yes.
Ugum's okay? I mean, I know we had turbidity challenges with the heavy rain, are we back to?
We have been, they are closely monitoring it. I think the last 24 hours, we haven't had to shut it down, but we did over the weekend. We did have some breaks up north, and a couple more wells over the last few days went down, so they're right now working the fight to finish to get one completely done today, which will be, 12, 18 hours worth of work.
Do we need to spend, and you may have already agreed to this, but I forgot, we're gonna spend some money on Ugum, or do we need to spend some money on Ugum on a going forward basis to strengthen it?
We have awarded the contract for the rehab. We're working out the final insurance requirements with the contractor, but we're ready to get started on that.
What's the upgrade we're doing on Ugum?
We're doing major equipment upgrades for all of the process equipment. We're rehabilitating the pumps down at the pump intake station, so it'll be just a much needed replacement of major
It's the
equipment.
first one in a while, right?
Yeah, but
After the major one.
in addition to that, we also have the reservoir project, which is a separate contract, but that will be happening concurrently. So we'll have one contractor working on the plant and
So
river.
we can store more water.
Right. When that's done, we'll have an additional 2 million gallons worth of storage, and then we'll rehabilitate the existing steel tank. In addition to the storage tank, there will be some interconnecting piping and some work on the admin building that will also occur as part of the tank project.
Improve reliability once we get them done.
Right.
So, good. Thank you for that.
On the water distribution side, the pump station operability was at 94%, up slightly from last month, so we're doing okay there. Reservoir capacity started out low at the beginning of the month, but we ended up building those levels back towards the end of September. On wastewater collection side, I cannot say the same about our pump station operability. That decreased slightly. We're at 81.7%. We don't have the same level of inventory for replacement pumps and motors yet for the wastewater pump stations, although we did recently award motor rewinding contracts, so we can get stuff repaired, but it takes a little longer than just replacing something that we have on the shelf. So we're still struggling a little bit with trying to get our wastewater pump station reliability up to where we want it.
The rewinding is local
Yes.
vendor?
And then you're bringing in more
We have
for this year's budget.
we already had it for last year's budget. We just haven't received the parts yet. Inventory, but we are working on increasing it. On the wastewater collection system, we're down a little bit on actual miles for cleaning, but for the year, we're still meeting our targets. Wastewater treatment, for the month of September, we disposed of 557,000 pounds of sludge, mostly from Hagatna Northern with some from Agate, Santa Rita, at a cost of about $51,000 this month. Average flows were fairly stable, 4.7 at Agana and about 5 million gallons a day at Northern, with 2.3 at Agate Santa Rita. Moving on to asset management, our preventive to corrective maintenance ratios remained steady at about 75% preventive and 25% corrective. Work order completions in both of those categories were at 94% of total work orders issued. On the leak repair versus equipment repair for the corrective maintenance, leak repairs were 54% of total work orders issued, and equipment repairs 46%. And the completion rates for those, 98% of the leak repair work orders were completed, and 94% of the equipment CMs were completed. Moving on to Tumon Maui well, to the one Guam update. At Tumon Maui well, we have, in relation to the water that we supply from Tumon Maui, the Navy has requested that we provide water to Camp Blas a little earlier than anticipated and in larger quantities than was originally anticipated. They're having some issues with the water system that's being constructed there, so We are working at this point to try and transfer the existing account, which is under the contractor, to DOD, so that is being worked on. We also are expecting the license for Tumon Maui Well for 2024 to be issued shortly, and we are undertaking some capital equipment replacement work at Tumon Maui as well with some of the pumps. We're also waiting on the license for Gpwa AG1 and the water line that we have up at Taragi. There's some updates on the property transfers. We expect the right of entry to be issued for the Navy laterals at Scofield Heights. This is sewer lines that we have not yet been turned over to us, but we need access to do some of the maintenance, so that is ongoing, and we're also still following up with GovGuam about the turnover of the Tamuning Maui well, the ASOC well. That is still supposed to come to us eventually, but it has not yet been turned over. We did exchange some information with DOD regarding the operation of our carbon treatment systems for PFAS. They are undertaking a study to figure out how they're going to address the issue that they have in their wells. And so they have requested information from us on the effectiveness of our treatment systems, how long the GAC lasts. So we've been sharing that. We've also, in our work with different remediation technologies, we are taking a look at some different technologies to apply for permanent treatment systems once these regulations go into place, which we anticipate we'll hear something either at the end of this year or the beginning of next year. We do have some work we're trying to get done on doing a bench scale test for some of these treatment technologies to see how effective they would be with our water quality. So we've shared that information with the Navy, and they might also be interested in conducting a bench scale test with the same treatment technology.
Miguel, this is the treatment technology that is being licensed out of Australia
Right.
into the U.S.
Right.
But are there any manufacturers in the U.S. yet?
There are different manufacturers that are ramping up for the same technology. That's SAFF, the surface area foam fractionation. So I went and visited at the last conference 2 or 3 different vendors which are combining that type of concentration technology to remove it in liquid form and concentrate it. And then there's a firm that's using supercritical water oxidation to destroy the PFAS as opposed to having to ship it anywhere, right? Mm-hmm. So it's pretty energy intensive, but it's another, that particular company is US based, and they had a combination of both the SAFF and the SCWO for the destruction. So we're looking at all of it, but the first ones that had manufactured it and were on the market was this company out of Australia, which is licensing to Alone. The U.S. firm's name is Alonia. So we've been in discussions with them on the bench scale testing.
So the bench scale testing would take place in Australia?
No, in Alonia's laboratories in the States.
In the States, okay.
Yeah, so they have a lab set up with a small scale version of the technology.
unit.
We send them our water, and they run it through, and they can tell us whether it would be effective, whether we need any additives. So we're evaluating all of that.
So how much water is needed for a bench test?
They want us to send, I think, 4 or 5 5-gallon carboys.
Okay.
So we'd send those. So it takes a few weeks to run the test. The length of time that we'll be limiting is they do the work, they pull the samples, and then they send it off for lab analysis. So they might have some trouble getting the lab analysis back. There's a big crush on laboratory time right now with the PFAS settlements that are ongoing. And so in order to opt in or opt out, many utilities across the nation are having all of their stuff sampled so they know their concentrations, because that forms the basis for any claim they would make in the settlement. So there's just a huge crush on analytical capacity right now.
And then the PFAS that's in the sludge that's being tipped at the liaison, there's no issue with the tipping at the liaison right now?
Not as of right now. GSWA knows that that may be an issue in the future. We've talked about our disposal. I asked if it's a problem for them, and they've said that it is not. We can continue to do what we're doing, but they did state that eventually they're going to have to provide some form of treatment to the leachate, and so we've been working cooperatively with them to try. I recommended some technologies that I've already researched, and we intend to share whatever we find on some of these technologies which could be applicable to GSWA to help them get their pretreatment in place, or work cooperatively to instead provide treatment at our Interwan wastewater treatment plant.
And then last question regarding the sludge, is that because of the PFAS contamination, does that prevent the use of the sludge in any other type of like upscale or reuse like, you know, adding it to compost or something like that? Is the
So-
presence of the PFAS like now negate that opportunity?
I think it does. It is a concern. There have been cases in the New England area where the disposal, land application of biosolids has been a common practice for years and years, and farms that have received it are now shut down, and there are lawsuits pending on that. So it has become an issue where you have used biosolids for land application and agriculture. So I would say that it would rule it out unless there is some method of destroying the PFAS in the biosolids, which again, that's technology that's being examined, but it's larger scale, and it is more critical for utilities for which that is the only method of disposal for their biosolids. For us, it's not a method at this point, so we're not looking at it as being as critical to us, but certainly it will be an issue for us in the future.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Okay, moving on to the court order summary, no change in that. We are still at 98% complete. We did have about 5 SSOs in the month of September, which we reported to US EPA in Tamuning, Agana Heights, and in Barragata. A brief rundown on land acquisition efforts. We are still following up with DLM on CLTC property that needs to be surveyed for the Estumbo tank site. And we are now, because we have this project coming up at Ugam, we're trying to take care of formally documenting previous verbal arrangements that allowed us access to the river intake station. So we're going to have to clean that up. It's something that wasn't done in the past when the plant was actually constructed, and it's been just allowed to remain that way, but we want to get it documented and completed, because in addition to the work we're doing now, we also intend to do some improvements at the intake, which will require hopefully federal grant funding, and we'll need to get all this worked out before we proceed with that project. We're also trying to get a booster pump station in Rahan, and we're still waiting for an appraisal report for that. And of course, we're waiting on the Park Service to provide us what we need to proceed with the Aspen Springs rehabilitation. So those are all still pending. And then lastly, for the operations side, just our leak repair summary. As of September, we are still down below 20 leaks backlog at the end of every workday, so the crews are maintaining their performance. And that's it for the operations side. Question?
That's good. No question? Colleen, you gave us your thoughts on the budget, so do you have anything else you want to add to your finance?
You know, I just wanted to say that I did add a few more
Okay.
slides to the,
Sure.
you know, for your information, besides the regular slides. I did include a 10 largest water and wastewater customers as part of the presentation for the part end. Mostly, government and hotels.
Colleen, for the top 10 customers, can you also put a side-by-side graph of the days aging for the regular meeting for those 10?
The accounts receivable for DOE. I understand that they're trying to get the third party to pay it out of, yeah, and so there's a little bit of a struggle there, so, but hopefully, that'll get resolved and,
Doesn't that end in October, or this month?
right.
So do they remit any excess funds back to DOE?
What will happen is, DOE will take over the expenditure of those funds, but
Okay.
at this point, until the end of October, the third party has, authority over those, disbursements of those funds.
And you pay them out of these funds, right? Once that ends, there's some savings to DOE.
Once
you get
that
rid of the
ends,
third
there
party.
will, yeah, they won't have to pay for the third party,
Yeah, that kind
and
of
that's
money
been
helps.
paid locally, yeah.
She's not with them anymore, she's with us.
Well, on the radio today, Francis and Colin were complimented by Mark Mendiola for helping make it happen, so. And you have insight. Are you having AR problems with the private sector? I'm glad Michael's asking. We have.
I was curious, so you're graphing the top 10 largest wastewater customers. I'm just curious as how that bounces off against the receivables and the days aging for those top 10,
Yeah, I'm not aware of any, issues with.
besides DOE, right?
Yeah,
Because DOE's the largest, or no, Air Force is the largest.
yeah.
Air Force is the
What about
largest.
school?
DOD
about the
and then
hospital?
DOE.
It's only at 60, or is that actually 90? If it's current plus 31 to 60. I'm on page 160 of both.
Way ahead of it.
You're way ahead of us.
No, because I just wanted to look at the ER guys.
Sure,
sure.
Because the two largest departments are always, and now that the hospital has adequate receivership, we should be able to get paid.
Yeah, it looks like they, it looks like we need help on there.
Yeah, I mean, again, if it's really what it's established, then you'll be dealing with someone else, right? So just let us know.
We'll do that.
Okay.
And then also on GDOE, because we're gonna have to wait, right? That's the issue. And, you have to wait till October, meantime, they still owe us.
It's also, the other thing I picked up was Onward Beach was in the top 10 in 22. They're not even there in 23. They're still closed, I guess, huh?
No,
No,
they're open.
They're open.
Yeah, they
My
fell
son
out of-
was there Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
They fell out of the top 10.
So that's wastewater, here with the water.
Well, they're brothers and they're brothers and sisters, water
Yeah.
and wastewater, yeah. So, but I noticed they dropped down, tourism and family.
Who sets the rate for the military? I mean, that's part of our rate.
to the military?
Yeah, what do we charge the military?
Same,
PUC?
same as government. Remember they asked for that, we had them
Yeah.
at a different rate,
Yeah.
and they asked to be at the same rate as government.
Who did? The military?
They were interveners in our rate case.
Okay.
Oh, that's great.
And
it was a
and so PUC made a change, right, to that? Okay. No,
Well,
no,
I think we stipulated.
Yeah.
I mean,
Is
we
it
agreed to
close?
their request.
Is it close to cost of service? You're comfortable enough with it, that you stipulated to us, I guess?
They wanted cost of service, which was lower, and they said that if you're not gonna give us cost of service, at least make us what you're charging other government entities, which we did.
Because of their obscene rate they charge us.
no.
It
They
is
have
an
been a
obscene
good
rate.
partner so far.
But they're partners, exactly.
Just don't buy.
Yeah,
We-
at some
which
point
is
we
what
don't
we're-
buy.
that-
They're
which is
buying
what we're
more.
doing.
They're
Yeah,
buying-
no,
now we're gonna
we're
sell
selling
water
more
to
and you're
the
buying
military.
less. That's a good idea.
No, I would remind you that you had an idea once to try and pitch to them that we'll not be buying and selling, we'll just be
Trading
offsetting,
volume.
trading volume, right?
That's in the works.
Keep working on that.
We expect to get that done June
What
of,
happened, so what will happen now, I read the little side note on Camp Loss, with respect to the meter, what's the anticipated volume once that, I mean, they're taking water already, right?
yeah, so I think the idea was that we operate to Mon Maui, pump a certain amount of water into our system that is permitted, and that they could take, I think half of that was what, a little less than half of that was what they were anticipating they would need at
Camp Loss.
Camp Loss. They're saying, well, we need that earlier than we thought we were gonna need it, and we'd like a little more until we get our water system straightened out.
How many wells on Camp Law?
I'm not certain, I think four, but I'm not certain.
So they are ultimately, like Anderson, they're gonna have their own water supply side.
That's-
Right, 4 wells on their
yeah.
side.
But they're still interconnected.
But there's still an interconnection.
Yeah, yeah, and then we get the wastewater, which is good. Okay. That's why they paid for Northern. That was part of the system development shortage.
Right.
Like you said, it's sort of the same thing, so they paid for Northern. It's good.
Okay, anything else on finance? That's it?
That's it for us.
That's it for you? Okay. Thank you very much. John, you ready?
Hey Miguel. Hey Miguel. You know, at one point in time, I was supposed to go with you guys
Okay.
to tour the Tumon Maui well, and we just, I want
Okay.
to do that.
You-
But I want to
you
do
want a
them
5-minute
at the,
recess?
I don't know if it's smart
We're gonna
to do
take
it
a
same
5-minute
time
recess.
or separate days, but I want to
Gpwa, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. First of all, on the GM report, I won't have that for you until next week on Tuesday. So on going to the issues for decision, I'd like to move first to 4.2, 4.3, 4.4. Go through the general capacity update and then address the item 1, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
So the first item is the resolution 2024-02, and that's relative to approving the award of casualty insurance. As you know, this bid is actually for a 3-year period. We did go out for bid. There was only one bidder in. So what we did was we did what do you call it? Cancel the bid, and so that we can be able to negotiate some of the terms and conditions with the sole bidder, which is actually it's the sole source because it's been happening for years. The premiums came in higher than prior, about by 18% and all of that. However, we do recommend at this time a number that we have worked out, and that is for a 3-year insurance from November 1st, 2023 to November 1st, it's actually a 3-year insurance, but it's 1 year plus 2 1-year options. And the brokers on the various are prepared to offer $688,323 for the first year of the insurance policy. And so that's resolution 2024-02. John, do you have anything else to that? What would happen now is upon your approval, it is on the agenda for Thursday for the PUC because it's effective November 1st of this year. So we have coordinated that with the PUC, but of course they will need your resolution to make it happen.
Okay, so one more time, go ahead, Commissioner.
And
Chapo.
and if you will, Mr. Chair, I would like to ask for your approval for this one in this meeting.
Okay,
Because because we're trying to bring it to the PUC on Thursday.
let's go with the questions. Commissioner Limchalco.
So, so we, the bid came out, there were responders, but we ended up canceling the bid to try and encourage more bidders?
Nope.
There was just one? So we
one
never
responder.
canceled the initial bid?
Yep. So there was one responder, so that gave us an opportunity to go ahead and cancel it and do a sole source negotiation.
I see.
And see. And
Okay.
so the sole source negotiation ended up with 1 year plus 2 1-year options, and the first year cost of $688.
Okay, and
And
so,
you can only do that if there's only one bidder that came in.
per the procurement law. And the sole source resulted in a lower than an original bid pricing?
Yes. We were able to reduce it about $24,000.
24,000, okay. What's that, 4%?
Yes, close to 4.5%.
Okay. No more questions?
Any other questions? Now, this is just the casualty part, right?
Yeah, this is just for the
It's not
casualty.
property,
Yes.
not property.
So we had 2 bids, one for property, one for casualty separately.
Yeah, and I'd like to go through that at the end, Mr. Chair, on
Sure.
the property.
So on the casualty side, you need approval for this
Yeah.
before we go to the PUC.
Yeah, so if you can prove that now, that will be
I'll
adequate
make a
for us.
motion, Mr. Chairman, to approve resolution FY 24-02, is that the right one?
That's correct.
Relative to authorizing management to award the casualty insurance also as presented.
Second?
Second? Any further discussion? This is a 1 with a 1 and a 1. Yeah, 1 plus 1 plus 1, and just for clarity, the next year's rate will be The same rate, or it'll be a different rate? It'll be negotiated.
Yes, it will be
And
negotiated.
good at that point.
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. Everybody
I
understand?
got a question.
Sure,
I have
go ahead.
to Legal counsel is, when we're negotiating on a sole source contract, can we just kind of say, hey, these are our terms, and I kind of feel like we were backed up against the wall again, right, on these discussions, and I'm not comfortable, being put in that position when you can't pay this kind of money. And I'm just wondering, is it, when, sole source obviously is different from a RFP. I don't know what to explain that to us, because I want to know what leverage do we have as the buyer.
So when we initially put out the multi-step bid, we include all of the terms and the conditions that, the public has the ability to bid on. But since in this case there was only the one bidder, there's that one bidder rule within Guam administrative rules, which permits us under specific conditions to go to sole source. So we're now doing sole source. So as a sole source, we're able to negotiate, be flexible on the price, on the terms. Continue to negotiate the price. We don't have to take whatever price they give us as is, and that's the purpose here. Because we were able to meet specific conditions, which allowed us to use the one bidder rule. So we can be flexible. So we don't have to, have a take it or leave it type of attitude. We're able to negotiate. Does that answer the question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at
So
the end of the day, though, at the end of the day, really, if they don't want to go to
Right.
where we want to go to, they're going to give us their price, and basically, it becomes a take it or leave it. And
It does.
if we leave it, we don't have the insurance policy
and
that we
what-
need based on our bond requirements, right?
One of the conditions that required us to be able to move into the sole source was the timing. Initially, when the multi-step bid was put out, it was actually put out in June, and it was open to the public for 9 weeks. And GPA didn't get a response until about August. So, and in that 9 weeks, we only received the one bid. So of course, that does reduce our ability to negotiate, because we only have, the one party to be negotiating with. But, so we're able to be flexible. Again, we're able to
To a limit, though.
present different scenarios
Yeah.
until we can reach agreeable terms and an agreeable price under sole source.
Okay, Commissioner Chapman.
I was just wondering, I know that this has come up not in just this bid, but what, have we tried to figure out what the roadblocks, what the speed bumps are in why other people are not bidding, why other vendors are not bidding? What is the issue? Is it too hard to cover? Is it, there's obviously a utilization rate, right? That's known. We know how much of that premium we're utilizing, right? Is the utilization rate so high that people are discouraged on bidding on it because of the risk, or what's the issue?
Yeah, can you explain that? Because it's like you have a team, yes, to spread the risk to so many people, and that takes a lot of effort to do so.
So what we did is to encourage, because like property is kind of different because the capacity is really big.
Yep.
But this one is much smaller. So what we're doing is just, automobile and professional liability blanket, blanket crime. And those are the ones that are required by the bonds. And any broker can bid on it. Like the last one we did pollution, we had 2 bidders in. So one with the lowest price won. On this one, it's not a complicated bid. It's just that the effort to put all the bid document together and submitted is, I think, what's causing a lot of people not bid.
Really?
Yeah.
Just the admin side of it?
Yeah.
I
'Cause
can
don't
understand the
think-
property side, because you
There's a
need a lot of
huge-
underwriters, right, to
Yes.
team up to
Yes.
cover everything.
Yeah.
So this one's a simple one. It's just administratively.
Not worth if some of them say it's not worth the cost for them. But we did have we did have two people pick up the package, and we had questions from, from two. But when it came to pricing, no one actually came down and said, here's my offer.
Okay.
It's a tough world, you know.
But we're not just having this issue in this type of procurement, right? It's
No.
like there's other procurements that we're like wondering why people aren't,
Yeah.
you know,
In the
participating.
insurance side, you know, worldwide, you know, the insurance industry is going through some gyrations because there's so many claims being filed. You have a lot of natural disasters, you have a lot of just big problems. And so I'm wondering if this is a capacity thing, you know.
Just confirm, John, we have not ever filed a claim that I know of under these specific lines of insurance.
Yes,
We did file one claim, I think.
On which one?
very small, like $200.
No, this-
$100 for 680,000 in premium.
Yeah, but your deductible had to have been, what's your deductible?
It depends. So like a vehicle, it'll be like $100,000 deductible.
So your claim was $100,100, and you filed for the $100 claim?
Yeah.
Because you have to cover your deductible first. Right?
Yes. And so you didn't claim it. You have to tell them this is the accidents we had, this is the loss we had. Yeah, even though we don't get any money, but we still have to say this is damages we incurred.
Okay.
It's more
Now let me
notification.
ask the question. Because of that, it's almost like we're self-insuring ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah, basically, because you get $100 for a $100,000 claim.
We got a deductible.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, how do we view our self-insurance fund? We have a self-insurance fund. Here's the question. Could our self-insurance fund be considered as our self-insurance under the bond agreement? This is something that you need to go back to the bond council and those guys and say, because we maintain, what is it, $20 million self-insurance fund?
Yes.
Up to $20 million?
Yes. Actually, the bond covenant allows us to be self-insured.
Okay, so, I mean, listen, we're up against the time clock. We have to do something, right? But it's a 1 year with a 1 year and a 1 year. So we have a year now to go back and do some research. And if the self-insurance fund, which is a thing that correct me if I'm wrong, but John, the PUC will fill that up again. They'll give us the rate to keep it at $20 million, right?
Yes, right now it is active. We are charging for the self-insurance fund.
Yeah, so it's a way to keep it at $20 million.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so this is something I think you need to look at. How do we use that effectively to get rid of some of these small little problems? I mean, if we're gonna pay for it, listen, all this money is being paid for by the ratepayers.
Yes.
The ratepayers are either gonna pay enough for us to buy insurance, or they're gonna pay into the self-insurance fund. Either way, it comes up from the ratepayers, from you and me and everybody else. So I'm just asking if we can look
take a look
at
at it.
how do we cover this with a method that we already have. Now, this is a smaller piece. I don't know, I don't think you can cover the property with the self-insurance fund, but,
That's your deductible anyway.
but,
so.
yeah.
On the property, we try to negotiate a higher deductible to reduce the premium.
And
But
so I
on this
like
one,
that.
it's something we can look at.
It's something we can look at if we're just paying most of this out ourselves. I don't know, it kind of makes sense that we just self-insure and you save the $600,000.
What's the
Then you're gonna pay.
coverage per occurrence
What's
for the casualty
what's the coverage on
insurance?
this, John?
Oh, yes. So there's automobile. There's the one that costs a lot will be the general liability.
Like what?
I think general liability coverage.
That's basically what we're insuring ourselves from.
Does this also cover, John, like when somebody files a claim because their equipment got damaged in power outage or something? Is that covered under this policy?
Yes, we do have that for general liability.
Yeah.
Normally we do that with maybe self-insurance for, but it did meet I think it's about $100,000 above that.
Okay, so what I'm trying to tell you, John, is I think you need to do a little more work on this in the next year. And let's figure out if maybe we can save the $600,000 insurance premium and just use our self-insurance fund. If the bond council says it's okay though, that's the one caveat.
Yes.
I think what probably is a deterrent is that it just takes one major claim on liability to, shoot you in the foot, right? So I think that's
Like-
probably your hesitation. Is that
Yes.
But
Is there
Are
a
we
max?
governed by the government claims act?
Yeah, is there a
max? There you go.
Still 300
Probably
is
the
the
first
max,
300
right?
grand.
It's like 300 for accident and 100 for death or something. It's backwards.
Opposite.
It's backwards.
Yes. Yeah, for like,
You can do it that.
yes. For like excess liability, our limit of liability is $100 million.
100 million?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a big coverage.
Concerns
That's what
there
we're paying
might
for.
be, I mean, I don't think we have the same issues here with Maui and San Francisco and all of that where
Sure.
fires or anything
Because
like
of
that,
fire.
right? But that type of liability is what this covers.
Yes, and that was a part of the reason we had $100 million. Let's say we're transporting fuels and the pipeline bursts and there's a flame, and how bad would the damage be? So that was kind of risk that we have to consider.
And
So
see,
we'll take a look
there's
at it,
lot
Mr.
of,
Chair.
there's a lot of claims out there right now,
Yeah.
Maui's gonna be a big
Yeah.
issue. And all the insurance companies are gonna say, wait a minute, we've got a lot of these big issues coming up. I'm just saying, what we need to do is look at this and see, how maybe we have a $20 million self-insurance fund and we say, fine, our deductible is $20 million. We're gonna share ourselves for the first $20 million. We'll only call on you if we have the big one for $100 million.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm just saying, I don't know the answer. I'm just saying,
What's the limits of liability and the DNO?
yeah. I'm just saying, John, this is where you need to look. I think Francis is on the right path. We need to look at these things and see, what are we paying for? Are we getting really service for what are we getting something good, value for what we're paying? I'm just asking the
Well,
question.
$100 million coverage is, that's a lot, and that, for that premium, that's pretty,
Yeah, so
Pretty good.
I'm not saying I know the answers. I'm just saying it's worth looking and questioning,
yeah.
okay? That's all.
Sorry, correction, it's 25 million
25 million,
for the directors and officers.
okay,
25 million?
Yes.
okay. At 680 some thousand.
For
per-
director and officer, premium is about $104,000
Okay.
for 25 million.
Commissioner Martinez, you have a question?
I just wanted to find out, so with 1 year, and the next year and the following year, is that negotiable? 688, or is it already set if we accept it?
For the first year, it's locked in.
And first, I understand, so when we're going to the
What
second
happens to
and
the second year is his question.
They provide another price
yeah.
or whatever, up or down. Just like we have done in the other scenarios. Every year they give you and then you
Every year it's
negotiate.
negotiated.
Right now, we know it's 688.
Yeah. And we have a right to the insurance policy if we agree with the premium.
The other thing we did with the sole source capability is if our coverage seems to be too high, next year we can actually reduce the coverage requirement. So we do have that flexibility.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, if you look at all these different things, maybe we can make some moves and, Because insurance is going up on everybody, I get that. Okay? So you need a vote on this one at this meeting. So we have a motion, seconded. Any further discussion, commissioners? No? Okay, on the motion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed nay. I have 5 aye votes, 0 no votes, okay? Motion is adopted.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Chair.
Next
Next item is Resolution 2024-03, And this is related to approval of an amendment to a Phase 2 Renewable Energy Acquisition Agreement with Hanwha Corporation. As I had noted in the past, this contract had been 10 years. And again, let me go through some of the history. First of all, this was approved by the PUC and CCU in 2017 and the PUC in 2018. We signed a contract on August 22, 2018. However, due to construction issues, it had been delayed due to again significant increase in interconnection costs. For example, this included 115 kV line all the way from Dandam to PD. Pandemic, another recent event, which of course everything has just been climbing, if you will. And so this project then, commissioning was at risk throughout this period of time. It did have a performance bond of about 4 point something million that I mentioned to the commission, which would have been garnerable by December 31st of this year, no? Because that's the delivery date of this thing. However, Hanwha had and the GPA team have been working to see if there's a way that we can make this project work, and again make this project work, which is to the benefit of the ratepayers, no? And so that's what we have done. We've come up with an alternative that is really like a change order to the amendment, which is authorized, and it includes now where we're able to reconfigure the system to get out energy, but also provide for shifted energy, which is not part of the original agreement with Hanwha, no? And so, again, why may I be pursuing something like this as late as now? Under the consent decree, we agreed to put 100 megawatts into the system of solar PV. Our thinking back in 2020 or so, when the consent decree or earlier, was that, okay, we had the KEPCO, KMS, which is 60. We had next to be awarded was the Phase 3, minimum of 40 megawatts on Navy leased land, which we all know that was protested and took 2 years to resolve, but at the end, the contractor didn't want to go through. The project was no longer feasible. So there was the 40 that was going to give us 100, and then our back pocket solution was Hanwha's 60 megawatts. So therefore, we had 160 megawatts in the pipeline, no, to get 100 megawatts. Unfortunately, like I said, the 40 went away, and Hanwha, because of the financial interconnection, which I think doubled, they were thinking maybe 40 million. May not have all these numbers correctly. Doubled about 97 million. The project just became infeasible, no? So we did go through, and our teams worked very hard to try and figure out how do we get the energy out within the existing system with some upgrades as necessary, but not 115 kV. And so this is the prelude, so let me go through what we have put together and what does it mean to us, no? So again, this is for an amendment to the Hanwha contract for a blended rate of shifting, to be able to shift energy of 14.3 cents per kilowatt hours, no?
John, can I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah.
Is this in the board books? Is this what the next slide, the slide that's next?
Joyce,
one
is it in the board books? Was it loaded?
Is this one? Okay, so what page? Because I still have.
186.
What page?
186 is where the resolution starts.
No, I know that part, but there was another page and I didn't see
Can you talk
it.
about the next slide?
Yeah. What's the next slide?
Yeah, this is the presentation. Actually, there were,
this
it's all in there.
What page is
It's
it?
all in the resolution, Mr. Chair, but what I,
91 is this one? Okay.
What
lost
I-
my place. I'm sorry. I apologize.
it's in the resolution and the amendments and the
Okay, I see
proposed
191.
contract.
I
What I
got
do
it.
is I pulled out the significant pages
Okay.
to present on,
Okay,
no?
okay. All right.
So
Sorry, I
again,
got
this
lost.
is the project interconnection of 34.5 megawatt. We had two projects of 30, so we squeezed out 41 megawatts. 41 megawatts now allows us to meet the consent decree. So the 60 up here plus the 41. So this was the minimum, this was a red line that we had to meet, no?
Okay.
And again, so, and that's at 6.4 cents per kilowatt. Now the Hanwha project averaged out due to microgrid and other costs at about 8.4 cents, something
was their
similar.
bid? That was their bid, right?
That was the bid price.
8.4 cents.
So
per
what we did
kilowatt hour
is
delivered.
use that, but now the microgrid to allow us for 22 megawatts for 3 hours. It's 66 megawatt hours, no? Or you can 66, you can run 10 megawatts for 6 hours. So all that energy now allows you to start eliminating peak time. It would have been, like today, it would really help us, in the load shedding. But this is the whole concept of everything we're doing forward is to shift as much energy that we can. So being able to shift 66 megawatt hours, and before it was a total of 144 million for the two projects, but because of 41 megawatt capacity, we're going to still be getting about 75 million kilowatt hours of energy minimum per year. So again, when you add everything together, the blended price is 14.385, and the first year cost is 10.8 million. The completion date, October 31st, 2025, for the solar PV, that will let us comply with the US EPA. It may take 4 more months for the BESS system, but at least we can comply already. And this is the number this is the date I'm tossing out with the US EPA, because again, right now, I only have 2 alternatives that in the pipeline. Neither one is going to be tomorrow, right? This is one of them, and the second one is phase 4, no? That we have a bid on. Okay, next, okay, go ahead.
John,
Question?
we have a question.
So John, you had to reconfigure it, right, because of the delay and all that. So now the new price is 14.8 cents a kilowatt.
14.38, yeah.
3.8, right, lower than the LEAC,
Yeah.
right?
So, and what, the original bid price you said was 8?
8.
But with the reconfiguration and price adjustments,
Yep.
you're killing the bird with terms of the capacity requirements on the renewable side. To do that, the pricing had to change, and with all the other things going on.
With additional value to GPA. The
Because of the
additional value to
the shifting.
GPA is the shifting,
Yeah.
no? And I'll show you
Was the original configuration without shifting? Is it just a?
yeah, was without
Or
shifting.
very little shifting?
No,
No shift.
Just
it was a RAM rate.
They had a little shifting because the 60 megawatt couldn't go into
The system in one time,
So there was some shift.
yeah. It was like 10 megawatt hours
But this increases the shifting, which is.
to 66 megawatt
And
hours.
that's, our LEAC, actually, that's the most expensive time of our
Yeah.
LEAC.
Next.
What we're trying to avoid burning oil with is the peak times.
So here's
You're
the
running
big-
the
yeah.
smaller generators that are more expensive.
That's correct. So here's the new pricing as before, 14.3 with a 1% escalator, as is our policy with all renewables, no? Next.
John, real quick, just so the 115 line that we propose is just dropped.
Drop. They won't do it, they cannot do it, the project would have been dead. The most that we could get out of it is the performance fund, no? Which is the 4-point-something million at
What's the
December.
estimated cost to run that line?
They said somewhere close to 40 to 90 million. I think the original cost was 24 and it went up to 40 some plus million.
And
So,
that's overhead or underground?
overhead,
Overhead.
115 kV.
What, the original bid provided best for just intermittency and slight shifting?
Yeah, with slight shifting, all of our requests, because we didn't, with 260 megawatt, no? The Gpwa and this one, which were awarded all the same time, we didn't want to put all 120 into the
Yeah.
grid in one time because we had to back out all our other generators, no?
Mhm.
And stuff.
So then the last question is the drop, the whole purpose of the 115 was to add capacity, right? So that if there are any other solar farms that came online, they can utilize it or no? That was it?
Yes, they could have, but it's a dead issue, no? They
But
yeah.
can, with the downgrade though, can any other systems come online or without?
Anyone else that's gonna put in again in that area is gonna have to put in 150.
Oh,
Because this is the, unless we again are able to time it and utilize the line at different times of the day, because the maximum we can put into any 134.5 line is about 30 megawatts.
mhm.
So if Hungwa is putting in 30 already, you can't have anybody else. You have to get in line. And again, that's part of the shifting, right? To shift to flatten the output of the conventional units. But anyone, even now in phase 4, that's going to propose in that area, basically have to put in 115 or add more, if possible, depending on the right-of-ways, more 34.5s, no? Depending on the capacity that they're bidding. If they're just bidding 30, then maybe they can figure out a way. If they're bidding 60, or in this phase 4, the bid is could be I think 180 to 200 megawatts or so. That's going to require 115. So at some point, somebody has to put in 115. Huh?
John, I have a real quick question. On the Marble solar, the 60 megawatts of Marble, did they put in a 115 line?
No, they had to put in 234.5.
Okay.
So that's what I mean.
Which would take care of the 115. In place of 115, 234.5s handle the same, it provides the same service as 115.
Yeah, because it's broken up to a 30 into one and 30 into another.
Yeah, no. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, that's the same effect. It has the same effect as if they put in a 115 line for the whole 60 megawatts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what they did is they put in 234.5s.
Yep.
And they kept their price at 8.5 cents.
That's correct. So that project went through early from the beginning, went right through with the configuration and everything, and that's why we have 8.5 cents.
They were both bid at the same time though, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so, I guess my concern, never mind, go
Yeah,
ahead.
let
Keep
me
going.
let me finish the
Sure,
whole thing,
sure.
and again, trying to salvage the project, and again, keep the consent decree that we have, no, because as an alternative, and also there is a benefit. It's not the 8.5 cent benefit anymore. It's now still a benefit to the system, because we're going to be using 14.2 energy to eliminate 20 cents a kilowatt hour peak. No? So here's the 5-year savings based on today's LIAC, versus the new price. It's about 5.9 million for the first year, or a total of about 28 million for the 5-year period. Now this is at the full LIAC today. So even if you went to a LIAC of 15 or so, like 15 or so, let me see, which is about, I'm sorry, even if the LIAC was at the
lower, yes.
about 16 cents 2 times 6, you're still going to save about $2 million a year times 5 years, $10 million. So it's still a savings at the lower cost dollars per barrel. But if the LIAC is today and this thing is in place, you are gonna save 28 million, no? And I have a summary, and again, because it's not just Hanwha today that I'm gonna be talking about a little bit more, I wanna finish it out with where are we going even with phase 4, no? So again, this is a savings estimated based on the LEAC today. But again, if the fuel prices go down, the LEAC goes down, then the savings go down, but it's still in about the $2 million minimum savings on this. Next, per year. Next. So here are some milestones. We wanted to have milestones to ensure that this project, again, doesn't go down 2-3 years and nothing happens. No? So these are milestones established so that we can meet this December 31st. And again, if they don't meet it within 13 days, then we could terminate this contract. No? Next. What does it do? It helps us meeting our portfolio. Here's how right now you jumped us from 14 to 18%, and here's phase 4. Depending on what happens, how much we can award, that could bring us even very close already to the 50% in scenario. But again, we don't. Our target is to try and get to 50% by 2030. We may have to do another phase after this, depending on the bids on phase 4. Next. Where is it located at? Right here. Here's the capital. The existing
25? Or
phase
20?
1 is right in this area. So again, there's only 2 lines. There's one line going up there now from the clean capital, and then there's a set of conduits that are there that they're gonna put in wires and everything all the way to telephone 4. Then from telephone 4, they're gonna have to upgrade the wires going down to APRA so that they can allow 30 megawatts of flow. And anything else that's required to make it operate, because once it's approved, they have to do a system impact study. We have an independent group look at that to make sure that the system, it does what the system, it does what we had pre-engineered. No, next. So one may ask ourselves, where are we heading in terms of phase 4? Joyce, can we talk to this? I'm sorry, this was hot off the press. I thought maybe.
John, we have a question from Commissioner Santos.
You mentioned something about the performance bond. Are you calling the performance bond?
The contract, the end of the contract is December 31st this year.
Yeah.
So if we don't do anything like that, we can hold that performance bond, and the contract goes away. Okay. But what we're also saying is that there's an opportunity to salvage the project that we've been working on, in particularly because, again, to meet the 40 megawatts of consent decree, because now this is already a contract versus phase 4, which is still a bid. It still has, it's going to take several months before we get a process. And that there is a benefit to the consumer, because we didn't increase the price of the original cost of energy. The only thing that was increased was the microgrid portion, which now brings in a battery. So I look at the battery costs, and here it is within reason from what I could tell is out in the market right now. So when we sum it all up, actually it was higher. I think we negotiated down to 14.3. Now the question may be, what may the future energy costs come in? What may phase 4 come in with? Right now we have a cap on phase 4, and that cap is 17.9 cents. Battery costs are high, other things are high, and everything, So we've capped it, and I think, we're going to get something probably a little lower, but I don't think it's going to be the 11 cents that we had for NG or anything like that. This also kind of set a little benchmark as to, hey, we have a 14.4, but again, this is already with preliminary stuff. So
Yes,
if
on
I...
the performance bond, John.
What's the
Are we
question?
gonna call the bond?
Not
You
if,
didn't meet the terms of the contract.
not if we agree to this, not if you amend this
So you're
contract.
asking us two things.
Yeah,
Approve this and amend an existing contract
right.
that they did not fulfill. What was the primary reason that Hanwha could not complete this project?
Again, for whatever reason, they had,
what
no,
was
let me
the-
explain.
What was the primary reason that Hanwha
The
did
tran-
not
the
fulfill
cost-
terms?
the cost of the
cost.
bond,
So
yeah.
Tell the five of us here today that they're capable of doing this. They did fulfill the first one, and you're asking us again to allow this particular company, Hanwha, to enter into another agreement. What's the guarantee to us?
The guarantee to us is, again, one, because we thought about this substantially, this is not, it's not easy.
We dragged it out for
Yeah.
4 years.
Don't use we.
No, no,
Yeah.
John, come on.
We didn't drag it out for 4 years, but if I may, if they, excuse me. But we, to salvage this project, we looked at, okay, how can it be helpful, to us? Otherwise, we would not, but we had to wait until December 31st to garner the performance bond, right? While they're working to salvage the project. So the first one, again, is the value of the consent, meeting the consent decree. The second one is that there's a value of savings still to the ratepayers because, okay, we get the 4 million, as you can see, the first year of the contract is already $4 million and stuff. So that's the only reason. And again, as a matter of policy, we just don't want it. That's okay. I mean, but I have to do my due diligence, right, to give you. So again, I was just explaining that the phase 5, we have a cap of 17 to 9. So what does that do? I give you, I just put it out this morning to give you an idea. What does it do to our costs, okay? If you look here, this is the heat rate, and if you, and on the top, there's I go across from $90 to $140 a barrel. Right now, we're hovering around $100 to $120 a barrel, okay? So with Okudu coming on the line in 2026, this is the energy, is heat cost per kilowatt hours at $100 a barrel, about 11.6 cents. PD 8 and 9, and I'm in the middle. If you look down at the $100 column, 15.4. The reserve units about 22 cents. No, if you go all the way to the bottom, then the average cost is 11.9 cents. Okay. So again, so this is and this is with the KMS renewables and the clean capital. That's all the production that's going to be done for that particular year. The average cost of that LEAC will be at $100 a barrel, 11.9 or 12 cents. If you go to $120 a barrel, then you're up to 14. If it went to 140, and it's not unusual for ultra low sulfur diesel to be even higher than 140, world events and everything's always happening, then now you're looking at 16 cents a kilowatt hour. So the whole plan here, from our perspective, is that the renewables coming in, at least at this point, will be a hedge against prices of oil going all the way up and to keep the prices on the island affordable. No? So there's your 14.3. It's equivalent to about $120 a barrel, but actually what this will do is that it will reduce if you look at even at $100 a barrel, it's 14.3 versus PD 8 and 9 at 15.4. So already you're going to start saving even at $100 a barrel. Yep. So that's why I put this out, because again, even phase 4, that's how we're going to come in and request for approval. It's really a hedge, because it's very hard to beat Ukudu power plant because it's so efficient, and and that's why all our costs are going to go down. But it's what do we use to hedge against that oil going up? Because as you can see, if it goes to $100 a barrel, you go from about 12 cents to about 16 cents, no? For Ukuru.
The original bid didn't have battery, right? Was it just, or did it have?
It has some
just for
batteries,
intermittent?
but it's really just to take care of the ramping and the being able
But not for
to,
shifting. It wasn't really for
not,
shifting.
not what we call shifting, you know?
So
like
that's
the-
really our trade-off,
yeah.
right? We would spend a little more money, but I know John has always wanted to migrate towards all new solar has storage, and storage for shifting, so we can get cheaper energy and use it at night and not run the more expensive peaking. You know, you take Uguda out, it's really, the peakers are what run at 6 to 8, and that's the most expensive. They're less fuel efficient, and they're less fuel efficient, right? So the solar is a little more expensive than original, and I appreciate, I mean, like, Commissioner Santos is frustrated, we were all frustrated, because it seemed Hanwha took forever to get their act together on this, but Hanwha has built solar, so I'm not worried that they can deliver. I'm more like Commissioner Santos, that it's very unfortunate that Hanwha just really didn't seem to have their act together, but it sounds like you've pulled it together, and we're trading off slightly higher price, but storage with shifting, which wasn't in the original bid. You're saving the 50 to 90 million on distribution that, you know, someday as more solar gets put over there, either someone's gotta do it, or maybe we think about doing it if it allows more solar, but that's a down the road issue, right? Yeah, it's a tough trade-off. I agree with Commissioner Santos on that. I just wanna make sure that if you do this, they're gonna deliver, because the last time it was
I
pulling teeth.
agree, and that's why I was, if you recall, I've always been saying this contract is 10 years, no?
Yeah.
I never said, because the end of the game is December 31st, and before that, the team are trying to figure out how we may be able to work with this. But we also known that unless you approve it, or the PUC approve it, then we go right to December 31st and
And then you hold the bond.
you hold the
Then we
bond.
don't have the capacity.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that there is an opportunity here if the commission like, and then the milestone I showed earlier, they have to be, you have to meet those. Because again, I didn't want to move forward without particular milestones, and if not, then we'll garner the bond. No?
Have they said they can deliver this proposed new agreement? They can do this? So I think that's sort of
That's the agreement.
basically the concern we had the first time.
That's the agreement that our team has with them right now.
So I have a couple of questions then, John. So, have we looked at, if you didn't do the shifting, I know the shifting is to meet the consent decree requirements, right? But if you didn't do the shifting and you just went to 34.5, did we look at that number, what their bid number would be?
If we
Or what
went
the
to,
negotiated number would be per kilowatt hour?
if we went to what?
If you just went from the 115 to the 34.5?
First of
that's
all,
the
it
issue,
had
right?
to be reduced because there's no way that the project was like Gpwa 60 megawatts.
Right.
So there's no way it's gonna go through without a 115. So you either had to be a
Oh, so they
115.
reduced the total production to?
Yes, that's what I mean. And
40.
so they wanted to do maybe one of the projects, because that was 230 megawatts, and so, but no, my condition is that it's gotta be 40, greater than 40, no? So that's why it's 41 megawatts.
So they reduced their production, and then you reduce their requirement to put in the larger line,
Which reduces that, yeah.
and they're not,
And then energy shifted.
right, but minus the energy shifting, what would their number be?
If there was no energy shifting or anything like that, I would not even consider this.
You just have them.
I scrapped the whole thing.
I mean, he wants energy.
I was
shifting.
very,
No, I know, I'm just curious to know what from their 8.5.
thinking about what I
it would
needed.
be.
Yeah, before I even considered bringing it to the CCU, no? But having what we have now, then, I mean, again, if we don't have confidence that it'll get done, or if you want other restrictions, then, but at least I bring it to the table and say, okay, and if not, then we just wait for the bid bond, no? If they're gonna challenge it or anything, that's up to them. But as far as the project on the 115 side is that, when I look at this, there are some benefits to us if, the commission want to consider it. I've made the analysis myself to make sure that I'm correct, because we're trying to get our costs down and keep it down,
And the bid bond remains under this.
Yeah, until December.
Existing bid bond, right?
Yeah, and
But it
you'll be,
remains under this new.
We're amending the contract, or we're gonna enter into a new contract?
amending, I'm sorry.
Change
I
order.
didn't mean, I hope I didn't confuse
We
it.
don't, do we have a contract? Wait, that's an important question. Do we have a contract?
You have an award, right?
Purchasing power agreement, there are several contracts that we've entered into, and this is a second amendment to an existing contract.
Okay, wait, so usually we have the intent to award, right? And then after the intent to award, they're entered into the contract.
So we-
Okay, so we entered into the contract. And
Back in
the
2018.
$4 million,
According to this.
and the $4 million is a bond on their performance of that contract. Is that
Correct.
what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay. So if they don't perform on the contract, they risk losing the bid bond, okay? If we change the terms of the contract, the bid bond still stays?
Yes.
That is one of the conditions that we're ensuring be included in this second amendment. That
Okay.
the bid bond that would have expired or would have been called at the end of this year
Yeah.
continue and be renewed up until the performance here is completed. So up through 2025.
Okay. Just, sure.
It's not something to do with your bond. It's a government security bond for construction. So the bid bond that was during the bid was returned, and then they provided a separate bond for the construction.
And that's
So
correct.
if the construction commissioning doesn't happen, then we lose that.
So performance bond. Thanks,
So
Jen.
it's up to the $4 million.
Now, if you change the contract, that provision still stays? No,
Wait,
Condition of our
we have a
second
performance bond already delivered
right.
Yes.
So,
by an insurance company or
It's a
someone,
letter of credit.
letter of credit from a
Okay.
bank.
Okay.
but the question
And it
then,
flows
wait,
through.
no,
Part
no,
of our
no.
negotiations, that letter of credit remains with this
Yeah.
renegotiation.
Unless it's all approved and then we amend the contract, that bond is still there in place.
This is a letter of
So
credit.
then
But that letter-
if we don't allow for it to be replaced, then we garner it.
No, but the bond doesn't just continue on.
It's a letter of
Would be
credit.
a requirement
It
for it to be
you have to also amend the contract to amend that performance bond for the new date.
Correct.
Is that correct? That's the way it works?
That's correct.
Okay.
And,
Now,
and the meeting of the milestones, or recently meeting of them. no?
okay.
What's the projected construction cost?
Construction costs?
Well,
Oh, I mean,
if it's a typical performance bond, it should be at
Oh.
least 10% of construction value, right?
the original one, I think, it was based on the first year's, that correct, Jen? The first year's annual revenue?
I believe so, sir.
Yeah.
We were requiring the security based on the first year.
Which is how much?
4 point something million.
So we're covering, that,
Yeah, if you can
That's
get
the-
that number for me, Sean.
that's how you estimate.
What's in the letter of credit?
Letter, or whatever you want to call it, performance bond.
Yeah. Sean, if you can get that number, because they always ask
Is
me.
it gonna change, is it gonna? Oh, yes. It's gonna change.
Okay. Commissioner Martinez has a question. Go ahead.
So the performance bond, is there a date set for that, or what is
Yeah,
the
it's,
extended life of that
it's
performance
up to a
bond?
certain date right now, but we'll have it.
2023.
December 2023.
So
I don't
if
have
nothing happens, it terminates, so
We
we
get
don't
the-
have a performance bond.
No,
Unless we negotiate.
if we don't do anything, then we call it, no? But what we're saying is that, here's an alternative, no? And if we will, then we will tie in the bond again to this agreement and the milestones that is there, that is showed. And if they don't reach those milestones or show us that this project is moving forward, then we just call our bond and the contract is off. Because I need that assurance because I am assuring, or at least bringing forward to US EPA that I have a contract again that could meet that consent decree requirement. Otherwise, I have to renegotiate something with them to make, Yep.
The problem I'm having is, could your other choice be to say, just do 30 megawatts, and therefore you can use the 34.5, or no? There's no 34.5 available for them.
But then you don't get the
No,
60.
no,
meg-
wait.
You don't need the 100.
Okay, I'm just asking a question. Let me finish the question, okay? I want to know, in that area, is there any 34.5 available to them? No.
No, they're gonna have to put into the new
Okay,
conduit. And
that-
again,
that's what I
Jen
wanted.
will correct me as I go along, but I think my understanding is there's a conduit there, and then they have to upgrade the telephone.
Okay, when you
for
say
that.
conduit, John, was that the pipes that was buried underground?
Yep, so they have to
That's
put
still
in
in
the.
existence.
Yeah, they have to put in the
That was put
wires.
in by the original, Capital, whatever their name is.
The 25 act, right?
At the time, PGR was supposed to also.
Remember the windmill? They all were supposed to, and they
Okay.
did it. Yeah.
So why didn't they use that for their system? Capital, PGR, whoever's
So
existing out there.
originally for phase one, there was 2 contracts, sir.
Yeah.
And as you recall, PGR was the second contractor with NRG as the solar. PGR had to terminate, or they terminated because they couldn't comply with the commissioning requirements. So
Okay,
that
so
contract didn't go
there
through.
were actually 2 contracts out in La Zone.
Yes, in
One
phase
was-
one.
One was,
Solar and one was wind.
one was solar, one was wind.
Yes, sir.
The wind was the one that put in the pipes?
No, NRG put in the pipes anticipating that PGR would be following behind. But because there was some uncertainty at the time, the cables were only put in one conduit. So, and that was to serve the NRG project. So when PGR was going to start their construction, they would have to fill the second conduit. But since they
So
canceled.
there are 2 conduits down there.
Yes, sir.
One is in active use.
Yes, sir.
The other one is vacant, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Nobody down there is using overhead lines.
This is only from Dundon substation to Talafofo substation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So from that point.
I think
there-
there's only a 13.8 system in that area, sir.
So there's no 34.5 at all?
No.
Okay. So they would then be able to utilize the
Empty
pipe
conduit.
that was put in for
Originally for
the
phase
wind,
one.
for
Yes.
the wind project that went away.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if they reduce their amount that they were gonna put out to like 30 megawatts, could they use that other pipe for 34.5? Like, Capital or whoever they are now is using?
So the rated capacity of the conduit they're using is enough for the 26 megawatt they're producing right now.
Okay, that's fine. So
Yes.
now you're clarifying for me, the most that anybody can produce is 26 megawatts to use that second conduit.
I believe they can go up to 30, sir, if they use a upgraded line. So the line
Without
that,
having to dig up a new pipe.
yes, sir.
So they can put in wire that allows them to do 30 megawatts.
Yes,
And
so
that's the plan, part
Yes.
of the agreement, yeah.
they're gonna have to upgrade the current cable that Dundon has. So that the whole system that is gonna go in there is gonna have a bigger capacity
Okay.
than what it's capable now.
So it can
per
handle
Dundon.
30 megawatts.
But they're not gonna have to dig, they're just gonna change the
The wire,
cables. Yes, sir.
the kind of wire they were going to put
Yes,
in.
sir.
That's going to be put in. So at night for the shifting, they're gonna have 60 megawatts of solar array and then charge batteries.
I'm sorry, the new project for Hanwha is 41.
41,
41 megawatts, not 60,
not 60
Not
anymore.
60, sir.
41 megawatts. And during the day, only 30 megawatts will be going through that line into the system,
Yeah, up to 30 can go through.
up to 30. So what happens to the other 11
It's-
megawatts?
It goes into batteries, sir,
Batteries.
and then
It
it's
goes into
shifted.
charging batteries, and then those batteries put in at night
Correct.
On the same
in the
line.
same line. They have more than enough capacity in the line to
Correct.
put in the 11 megawatts or
Yes, sir.
22.
20, whatever, the extra megawatts.
It's
Yep.
22 served based on their inverter size.
Yep.
So that's the capacity we're expecting
Okay.
for shifting maximum.
You can,
Okay. See, my angst in all of this is, you have one deal and a price of 8.5 cents. And now you're saying, we're going to configure it differently, and you're still going to get power. You're not getting 60 megawatts at any point in time. So that was the original contract that they were supposed to sign, that they signed for 60 megawatts, right?
230 megawatts.
230 megawatts. So now they're putting in not 230 megawatts.
They're gonna put in 140.
They're putting in what?
140 megawatt, 41 megawatt.
141 megawatts.
Yeah.
Battery for shifting.
No.
And the,
I'm asking.
and the meeting of the consent decree, which is even more important.
No, I get all of that. I'm just asking you to consider, everybody to consider that when you do a contract and you do a bid and then you change it, have we violated any procurement laws? That's the only thing. You know, I respect Commissioner Chalco does a lot of these bidding things.
Well, we have legal counsel present. We can just ask her.
Okay.
So the original contract permitted a change in technical requirements. So if the seller was required or asked by GPA to modify, I guess, the requirements, it was included in the contract. And that's what's occurred here. So I say that it is permitted. Because of the delay, because of our need to meet the consent decree requirements, because we now have a new opportunity and a party already in place to add on what we need to support this system. The contract, the existing contract that was awarded and signed permitted a change in technical requirements so long as the seller agreed, I guess, to the new price.
How does that square though, Teresa, with the amount that was supposed to be provided?
So the contract, of course, if it's a modification in the technical requirements, the contract simply states, the parties agree on the new price. For me, when reviewing. Price and terms. Price and terms. So the core procurement here has been preserved. This is a request and a purchase of renewable energy, and that has not changed. And so this modification to add on, I guess, the energy shifting, by my read of the contract, is permitted.
So the total amount of energy that they are agreeing now, that we are agreeing that they will be able to deliver is only 41 megawatts, not 60.
But there's a value add, right? There's the shifting capacity, right? So, which was not part of their original contract, so. You were still saying.
I'm just trying to square this with, we were going to get X, and we were going to pay so much for the X. So now we're going to get something different, and we're going to pay a different price.
Right. You're gonna get less, a little bit less production, but more shifting, but you're gonna pay more.
But you're going to pay more.
But you're gonna pay less than the LEAD.
We are still getting X.
No, I mean, that's the to me, that's the trade-off.
No, listen,
That's all.
paying less than the LEAC is always going to be our goal. I get that. I'm just trying to make sure that we don't step over a wire somewhere that puts us in jeopardy. That somebody looks at this, and you know what I'm talking about. Somebody looks at this and comes up and says, wait a minute. And that's my only concern.
You're talking about the perception on whether or not a negotiated solution that results in a better opportunity for the ratepayer would be looked at negatively?
Or whether the negotiated solution allowed the provider a way out of the problem.
Well, no, we have our way out, right? We could just say no,
Just cancel it, yeah.
and we can get we can take the performance bond, and then we don't have any production, we don't have any shifting, and we don't need the consent decree. So those are that's the extreme left, right? So
Yeah, I get that, but would somebody be able to look at this and say, no, you should have said no. I don't know.
Someone could say
I'm-
that.
I'm-
We're debating whether to
okay.
say no.
Yeah.
So John, can you go back and give us a matrix of what we actually got in a 2018 REPA agreement, according to this, outline what we're gonna get and you want us to approve? I mean, I'm getting this, but I
Yeah,
think
I
for
can do that.
presentation purposes, let's see it, let's see down the line, because.
What,
at the end of the
you
day,
have and- yeah.
You're asking us, I get all that. My big concern is, where were these guys? We've been talking about this now for 5 years. I mean, all of a sudden they're, hey, we wanna do a deal? And knowing that they have $4 million that we
Yeah.
can call, I rather, hey, the consent decree is not gonna go away. I get that part of the discussion, but at the same time, you're not gonna force any of us to get John to a deal that, I don't care if it's 14 cents, no, I'm more concerned about the contractor.
No.
I mean, I applaud you, John, for finding a way out, but I'm not sure that this guy can deliver.
Yeah.
He didn't
So-
deliver for the past 5 years.
And believe me, I didn't take this, I took this very, very, I think, up to the end. I've always been saying 10 years. And there was red lines that they had to meet before I even brought it to the CCU. So at this point, that's where we're there, but there was nothing I can do before that in my thoughts, until we get to the December 31st,
To get close to the
2023.
end.
So I can, and I've always been saying we'll get the bond, no? We get the bond, and so everything else before that was trying to figure it out, and then, so that's why, again, I had my motives were, okay, if I can use this to meet the consent decree and save energy for the ratepayer, then let's work out a solution. But it's always been subject to the CCU and the PUC, and of course legal saying we could do a change order on this. So those conditions were met, and so that's all I
Now,
have. But it is
let me
very
ask-
difficult because
Let me ask one more question. In the original contract, the contractor was required to provide certain amount of power. In other words, they said, we're going to be able to deliver this, and if they don't deliver that, then they pay a penalty.
If they commission, yes.
Yes.
On an annual basis, there's a guarantee.
There's a guarantee. They commissioned, like Marble, they commissioned 60 megawatts.
Yeah.
Marble commissioned 60 megawatts, and they have to deliver 60. They can deliver more than 60.
It's energy, they deliver energy.
Yes,
over-
energy, yes. I understand that, but they can deliver more than 60 megawatts of energy, but they cannot deliver less than 60. Is that
So
correct?
it's energy, so it's megawatt hours, so they have to deliver 144,000 megawatt hours annually.
Yeah, whatever
And if
that
they-
number is.
If they don't deliver by the end of the contract year, then there's an evaluation for penalty. But they do have 5 years to make it up, so we allow it just because weather is unpredictable.
That's fine.
But yes.
I'm just saying they have that.
So now,
So in, go ahead.
I'm sorry, sir.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mr.
I just wanted to ask, so that continues into this amended contract?
Yes.
That if they don't, but you've changed it from 60 now to 41. So if they don't deliver 41,
I think they had it on the other slide, 75,000 megawatt hours.
whatever the number is,
There's a new
that they
number.
have to, now we're agreeing that they have to deliver this amount.
Yes.
And I'm going to say this again, of course, you can deliver more than that. Listen.
Yes.
Marble, everybody who's going to build solar farm is going to put more in so that they never fall below that, because over time, things degrade.
And they
So
can-
they will put in, Marble's not just giving us 60 megawatts. On a good sunny day, they can give us more than 60 megawatts, correct? Or whatever.
More output of their facilities.
More output of their
than they're
system.
guaranteed.
Then they're
You can
guaranteed
max
one.
to 60.
Yeah.
They give you more.
But they can't go below that, whatever that number is.
The annual energy production, minimum production.
And it's got like a 5-year time where they can even it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think the kilowatt hours are calculated at 60 megs every day times 365 times 5, because you can't predict the weather, right?
Yeah, no.
So I don't know if it's whether I don't know if they make 60, 70.
So-
I
so-
think they calculate they forecast as best they can what the weather might be like over 5 years, and they say my 60 megs or my 40 megs can produce so many kilowatt hours. And John and the team beat it up and say, at a minimum, this is what you need to deliver, whether, you know, with everything considered, right?
Yeah, so the chairman's right. It's under the original contract, 144 million kilowatt hours, or like Jim was saying, 144,000 megawatt hours divided by 1,000. So the new contract now, and that was 60, under the new contract now, 41, they have to have a minimum of 75 million kilowatt hours. And if they don't produce that, then they have the same penalty and condition.
So they get 5 years to average it out.
But, you know, just to be clear though, right, whether or not we all agree that the alternate solution is right or not, we still have access to the performance bond, so, and I know you have concerns about their ability to perform, right, that doesn't go away.
And we have to plan for whether, if we don't move forward with this, we have to plan then how do we make up for the consent decree requirement.
So the other question on line 10 of the resolution, whose local companies HEC Guam A and HEC Guam B?
Timeline.
Because it says, just read it, on the resolution manual, and then there's two other local companies. Who's the bond on it?
It's under
It's under,
A, I think. That's who we're contracting. They A bought out B and something like that.
Could you also go back to the savings slide? Because, you know, we need to take that into consideration as well when you're evaluating the performance bond, right? So by the way, I don't think anybody on the commission likes the idea of not holding a contractor that bid to their bid. I don't think anybody likes that at all, right? We can all agree on that. I think what we're evaluating is what is to the benefit of the ratepayer
With a revised deal, and I think that's what JB is presenting now.
Yeah, so this is kind of the, you know, when you just drill down, this is really what you're evaluating. You're gonna recover your performance bond within the first year of savings, and then for the foreseeable future out, even though we feel we're kind of getting slighted on the deal, right? There's still, the math still works in the ratepayer favor.
I think I recognize that we need something, we need to cover the consent decree, there's a lot of good here. My one angst is exactly what you said. Nobody likes a bidder who didn't live up to his bid. And that's the key. Is anybody gonna come after us and say, hey, you changed the bid? He didn't live up to the bid. That's all I'm saying. Now, I don't know the legal stuff, I'm gonna leave it with the legal, but that's the angst I have.
And
Okay?
it's valid.
Huh?
It's valid, but I mean, that's a valid concern, but I think we're being presented with you know, an option to consider, and at the end of the day, it really is what is in the best interest of the ratepayer. And
I am-
consent decree,
And if I look at it in that way,
Yeah.
I agree with you, there's value here. I can see value.
And we haven't even quantified the impacts of not meeting the consent decree.
Yeah.
What's the liquidated damages on the consent decree?
It's not a number we want.
I'll have to provide that.
But you should provide that for Tuesday, because I think that'll put it in context. But yeah,
Well, do you want, by the way, we don't have to do this, John, just for clarity, we don't have to do this resolution today.
No,
Oh, okay,
I'm not
okay.
asking, Mr. Chair. I was
No,
gonna
no.
apologize, I was
I
gonna
wasn't-
mention that
I'm
earlier.
just asking.
There's another provision here also. Oh, yeah, it's right here. In the Exhibit A at the end, there's also liquidated damages
as
for
part of the current power
the term,
purchase
so
agreement.
that if you don't, and then again, this is tied into the consent decree.
Yeah,
Right.
that's exhibit what,
Correct me
John?
if I'm wrong, Jen, remember? These numbers?
Okay,
And if they don't do
Yeah.
it, then you take the performance bond, and
Yeah.
you never do business with them again.
so
Okay.
go back and tell me who
Yeah.
see, that's,
went into an agreement with? HEC Guam A, who's that?
and John, that page, that exhibit's not in my board books. I have exhibit, and it says see attached, but it's just blank.
Oh,
I
I'm
don't
sorry,
have-
Mr. Chairman.
No.
We'll make sure, yeah.
Yeah, can you update the thing, the board books?
Yeah.
Because I have blank pages.
Are they even registered?
Yes, we'll do that. Yeah, I have a copy on my
That's the
desk.
kind of quirky thing about our procurement, right? You can be not registered and go on until such time that you get a contract. Okay. Find out if they're
I think,
registered and go on.
Commissioner
They must be
Martinez.
because they got a performance bond.
Not only that,
So-
but that's a requirement for the solicitation, is that you have to, you have to,
I think I
it's
have
part
that
of
on
the,
my desk.
just kind of the
I
checkbox
asked
things.
But it's handwell.
Where's this? Where's this?
the agreement, who's A, B, who bought A, and
But was that, yeah, but was that part of the, was that a change after award contract wise?
That's why he's asking.
And remember, they never performed, so.
Okay, then whatever you wanna do, but if you want.
So,
Anyways,
we'll provide it, and
We
again,
can decide on this Tuesday.
yeah, this is what
Great
we
discussion.
Just
what
one
we're gonna do,
question.
we're up against a time clock with our wage survey. Do we wanna recess until?
No. John, do you have any other resolutions?
Yes,
Just one
Mr.
question.
I have,
Just
I
one
have the
question.
diesel.
Just,
Go ahead.
so if this proposal here went through, how early before the community out there or the customers will start realizing?
December 2025.
Huh?
December 2025. 2 years.
2 years from now.
Okay. Okay, you know what, we have only one more resolution, which is on the bulk fuel. Can we just go through that?
Actually, Mr. Chair, we can even go through this for
On
approval
Monday?
next
On
week,
Tuesday?
but basically, I do have all the documents. There's been 3 bidders,
Okay.
and the lowest bidder is Hyundai.
But you're not asking, are you asking for a decision on that one?
Not today.
Not today, okay, no
So
problem.
you can read through it, it's
We can do
it's
that on Tuesday.
straightforward.
Okay, we
It's
can do
all
that.
the,
Yeah,
the fuel contract.
yeah. No.
And
That's
if
fine, I just
you-
wanted to make sure.
If you want me to go through load shedding, fine, if not, never mind. Okay, I'll just, it's in your copy.
John,
But I
I'm
just do
trying
want to
make sure that we
say,
address what you need
yeah,
to address.
what I do want to say, Mr. is really for the whole month of October, we've been doing very good except for this past weekend.
Sure.
But I had to make a concerted
Decision.
decision to take number 8 down
Yeah.
and do the preventive maintenance that we've been delaying.
We agree.
So that's why, but if you look before the whole month,
Yeah, it was
there's
good.
very little,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay,
And so,
Yeah.
and when are you gonna complete 8?
It's actually up now.
It's up now?
you're getting it up,
And so
okay.
the next one is PD7, not even, but in the board book, I also have an update of everything that we're doing to increase capacity.
Okay,
Yeah.
so John, do you need anything else?
No, that's it,
okay.
Mr. Chair.
Uh,
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, we're gonna table
The what,
and recess this meeting?
Recess till Thursday
for the what?
for the discussion on the
Property insurance.
Okay, I didn't see that on.
No, we took it off.
Okay.
It's a light-
So,
yeah.
so commissioners, can we come back on Thursday?
Thursday?
I have a court
Can,
hearing.
can you add it?
Or, I mean,
Was it part of the original announcement?
Part of the original,
Yeah.
but we're not yet done trying to.
Okay,
That's,
yeah.
Okay, so,
I don't get in until 10 or 11.
so we can.
Okay, so-
later on,
Is
yeah.
that at lunch or midday or whatever's easier for you?
lunch is easier because I have a court hearing that morning.
Lunch, then Thursday.
No, I have
Hold on.
I have
Okay,
a
wait,
board
wait.
meeting on Thursday on the
What time?
26th,
What time?
12 o'clock.
12
Okay,
o'clock.
what time are you done?
Is it a long
No,
meeting?
let me take that back. It's my 65 guys, but no, I'll be here.
That's an option.
Okay.
Sorry, younger, we have to.
There's no page, there's no page.
We'll meet whenever you need us to.
Thursday lunch?
Thursday
Thursday
lunch.
lunch? Everybody Thursday lunch? Going once, going twice? Sold.
We're gonna
Okay.
recess.
Now,
Like lunch.
we're gonna motion to recess?
Motion to recess, Mr. Chairman, till Thursday, 12 noon, October
26.
Yeah.
Okay, second?
Second.
Second? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed? We are in recess. Okay, 5.
Okay.